Joining us this morning is Pastor Les Bowen, who is, the actual name of your church is?
Cowboy Church of the Nazarene.
Nice church out there. And it's been a while. You haven't been on the show for a while.
It's been probably almost a year.
Yeah, I was going to say
there.
about a year. Yeah. The last time I think you were on, you were having some kind of...
We were having Bill Glass, I think, come out the last time I was out having a big community picnic and invited the whole community in, did a prison ministry.
That's probably
thing.
About a year.
Yeah, it was in July.
Of last year?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be darned. All right. Les, you said that you got a new project coming up. Can you tell us about it?
I will do my best. We're starting a new endeavor through the Kellogg'sville Church of the Nazarene. We're starting something called Cowboy Church. They're real popular in the western United States, down south, South Carolina. But we're looking at a way to try to reach people that don't go to church. They're not showing up on Sunday mornings at my church or anybody else's. And they're into farming and horses and tractors and just the country lifestyle. And we've been talking about it for several months. And one of our parishioners owns Rustler Ranch out in Pierpont. And they came to me and asked if I'd ever thought about doing a cowboy church. And I told them, well, oddly enough, I had, but I didn't have a location for it. And they said, well, they were building a new indoor arena and would be interested in letting us use it one night. So we started doing the research, trying to find out, okay, when can we attract these people? Because on Saturdays and Sundays, that sort of thing, they're at rodeos and horse shows and fairs and tractor pulls and whatever it is they do. So we feel like Thursday nights is a good night. So starting July 3rd, in the indoor arena at Rustler Ranch, we're going to start having Cowboy Church. We kind of call it Church Gone Country. We're going to have a couple of different bands that are going to come in and play for us. They do country gospel type music, which is going to appeal to that crowd, but it's more laid back. It's much more relaxed than being in a regular church. It's not nearly as dressy. Jeans and work boots and pickup trucks are all kind of acceptable.
I've never heard of this before.
Really?
No, I have not.
Several people, it's like I said, it's not as common here in the north as it is, like I said, in the south and out west. The Church of the Nazarene has developed a whole division of our church that's just developing these churches. They're trying to start 10 a year in Texas right now, but they're real popular in Oklahoma, out that way. The Baptist Church has quite a few of them, like I said, in the Carolinas. But it's church, just done in a different environment. Like I said, these people aren't knocking down my door to get in on Sunday morning or anybody else's. And we were just trying to think of a way to reach people in our community. And really, if we look, even where we're at there in Kellogg'sville, but especially there and farther south, we're a rural county for the most part.
All the way around, yeah.
And like I said, a lot of those people are even just people that are working on Sunday. It doesn't have to be people that are just in the country. It can be anybody. But we thought, there's a lot of people, because of our retail mentality anymore. So many businesses are open on Sunday. People can't make it. If we do it on a different night, it might appeal to some people. And like I said, it's just a much more laid-back environment. It's not...
Have you done a survey out there to see if people will respond to it?
One of the girls that works there at the ranch has talked to quite a few people, of course, because they're around the horses and the people all the time, and there does seem to be an interest. We're excited. That's somebody just asked me the other day. They said, so you don't know how many people are going to be there the first night? And I said, no. And they said, so what are you going to do? I said, I never know on any Sunday morning how many people are going to show up. So, we're going to do what we do, and I believe by word of mouth, and we're trying to get advertising and stuff out there to let people know we're there. But
this will be in Pierpont.
It's going to be in Pierpont at 925 Creek Road. That's right off of Marcy Road. It runs between Route 6 that heads over into Linesville and Marcy Road right there, kind of in the center of town.
Now, is there going to be a functional church actually there eventually?
Eventually, yeah. Most of the time the way Cowboy Church works is they usually end up being set up in barns or arenas, stuff like that. And I'm going to be serving as the pastor. So a lot of the phone calls and that kind of stuff will actually filter through our church, and our secretary, that kind of thing. But if there's issues or needs or whatever, it's going to be, someday we like to see it as its own freestanding body, that's self-supporting. Right now it's an outreach ministry of our church, but we believe that someday it'll still be housed in that arena, but it'll be its own.
So on Thursday nights,
and
July 3rd will be the first night, which is next Thursday, a week from this Thursday.
All right.
You'll give us regular sermon like you normally do.
Give a regular sermon, maybe geared a little more toward, whatever crowd you have. Whoever I preach to, I tend to try to relate to where they're at and what they do. And
right.
But yes, it's going to be a regular sermon. We're going to have music. couple things will be different. There at Rustler Ranch, they do an autistic riding program for handicapped children. Plus, they give regular riding lessons. But they've got some horses that are pretty clever and pretty well trained. So they're going to come in and do some skits and things kind of in the beginning with the horses, because that's what people are interested in.
Right.
We've talked about what are we going to do for fellowships. Every church is famous for its potluck dinners. We're thinking about things like trail rides, maybe the pig roast out back sometime, that kind of thing. So the environment's going to be different, but really the mentality is going to be like any other church. It's just going to a specific sort of culture.
But I think the concept's excellent. I like I said, I've never heard of that, but I'm not from the West either, or the South. But I think it could work. I really do, as long as you keep it focused on your audience there.
And like I said, that's the big key. I think is focusing on that particular group of people. I mean, as I've done study on it and thought about it, because it's been in my mind for a year. It kind of hit me in July. I was at a church conference and they were talking about, well, what can you do for people in your area? How can you reach out? And it seemed like all the focus was on inner city work. And of course, we've come to Conneaut and done things and that sort of stuff. But as I was looking around, I thought there's still a missing group here. Who aren't we able to reach? And that's what I say the Lord placed it on my mind that, okay, there's all these people that they're good, solid country people. Most of them are even conservative in their thought process and their way of living. There's just, for whatever reason, they've either been turned off by church, it doesn't work in their schedule, maybe they're not comfortable. The thing I see as a real plus to this sort of church is normally if you walk into a church, it's your first time there, you look around, you don't know who knows who, you don't know what they're into, so you've got to spend some time finding something you may have in common with the guy sitting right next to you.
Right.
But I think by doing this style of a church, you're going to come in knowing, okay, they already like farming, they already like tractors, they already like horses, that sort of thing. So you've already got a commonality built in that you may not have to search out in a regular congregation. You come in and everybody's wearing, they're dressed like you are, nice for the day, and you come in, you're going, okay, they could be a doctor, a lawyer, an Indian chief for all I know.
Right.
But I think coming into this environment, you're going to know at least you have something in common with those people that are there, and I think you just build off of that.
I remember one time, you've been on the show a couple times with this, but I remember one time, your goal at that time was to see churches kind of merge together, or people in the community merge together and take advantage of your church or whatever church it is, to bring God back into their lives. And have you seen it working towards that way?
I think so. I'm part of the Kingsville Ministerial Association, and there's 7 churches that are involved in that organization, and we partner together, especially at Christmas time. We do the Halo program where we take on the families that are in need. And so we work on all that sort of thing together. Different events that our churches have, we partner together on and work together. It's not, I'm not in competition with any other church. I just got a call from a pastor.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, I got a call from a pastor just yesterday that I had recommended somebody go to their church. It was physically closer for them. The building was just more accessible. He called me and said, well, this guy showed up and said, you told him to come to my church. Why didn't you tell him to come to yours? I said, because he moved. He lives too far away, really, with his job and his vehicle and all that stuff to get to me. So why would I not send him somewhere? And I've even seen a lot more unity even in there's 7 Nazarene churches within the county, scattered from Orwell to us in the east and in Geneva in the west.
Sure.
And we partner together on more events than we used to. I think we're finally all getting past that. Well, if I go to your church, some of my people may like it better and may run over there instead of staying at my church. To me, it's not about the name on the door necessarily. It's that we're all building a kingdom. We're not, do I want to see my own church grow? Sure I do. But if I can just help somebody get their life straightened out, if I can help them find the help and the guidance they need, then we've been successful at what we're trying to do.
Les, I've seen it over the years. Back in my day when I was younger, growing up, you had, I'm Catholic, but it was, if you were Catholic, you didn't, there wasn't a merger like there is now. I see all the churches now in Conneaut, they're friends and they're working together, and that wasn't the case in the years ago.
Yeah, and I think we've got to do that. With the economy like it is and things the way they are, no one of us can do as much as we can together.
Yeah.
You know, now we may have our different doctrinal beliefs or our different theology on things, but I think a lot of the things we try to do together is not about theology. That's about, let's help our community, let's reach those people that my church doesn't have the resources to reach them all, neither does yours, but if we would all combine together, a little bit goes a long way.
Absolutely. You have an interesting story because you actually started out in as a worker
In the telephone industry.
in the telephone industry, and decided that you wanted to follow your faith. And
True.
how old were you when that developed?
I received the call, I felt the call to ministry in 2000, so I had to finish out. I had a college degree, but I had to finish the things toward ordination that needed to be done. So of course when you're working full time and have a family and you're trying to get schooling done, that takes a little while, but I got all that done, and then in 2003 we actually came to Kellogg'sville. I was the associate pastor, served as their children's pastor.
Okay.
And Pastor Jerry Webb had been there for 36 years.
Yeah. No, sure.
And he decided to retire, and so when he did, I kind of took on the interim role as pastor, and then they looked around and felt like that I was the more qualified candidate than some of the ones they were interviewing.
Okay.
Just because I did know the people, and after him being there for so long, he was on his third generation of people at that church.
Right.
So there's always a fear when you follow somebody who's been somewhere a long time, that it won't be successful, that, you know, it's just a tough transition for people. So we felt it was best that I come on as pastor, and I still continued to work and do the church for 3 years. So I'm just coming into my 4th year. September will be my 4th year as a full-time pastor, where I don't work outside.
Right. Right.
So,
do you live out that way?
We've moved to Sheffield now. We were down in Andover, and
Yeah,
as part of the agreement, when we came on full-time, we had to move closer. So we looked around, and we're about 8 miles from the church now, so I can get there pretty quick using the back roads.
Right. What'd you do in the telephone industry?
I did install and repair.
Did you really?
I was mostly residential, some small business stuff. That's where I spent the bulk of my time. For a little while, I was in what we call our cable department, where I worked on the main cables going up and down the road. But I spent 17 years there doing that, and like I said, left with their blessing. You know, they felt like I was going to do something that was worthwhile. And a lot of people make fun and say, "Oh, you retired from one job, went into another." I didn't get a retirement when I left.
Right. Too young.
Left the company. Yeah, I was too young, so there was no early buyout or anything like that. I left on faith, saying, "Okay, the Lord and the church are going to be able to take care of me and my family," and that's the way we've been living ever since.
And of course, we're a telephone company here, and
Right.
I know a lot of the guys that do what you did. It's not an easy job. It's tough.
It wears on you,
Yeah.
I said they don't show you the wintertime in the brochures when they hire you.
No, or the rainy days.
That's right, the lightning
wind.
storms, all that stuff. Nobody tells you about those. They just let you find that out on your own when you're out there.
Yeah. It's tough work. So your family. What about your wife, kids?
I have a wife and one daughter. She'll be 10 in August. My wife had got downsized out of her job just before our daughter was born.
That happens a lot.
And so she was a stay-at-home mom until just this past year. She went back to work. She's working at Christian Faith Academy over in Ashtabula as a preschool teacher and their administrator over there. That's her degree, is in early childhood up through 8th grade. And we were thinking about enrolling our daughter there. And then when we went in, I had spoken some of their chapel services, so I knew the superintendent there. And he's like, "Hey, if you know anybody that's has their degree in preschool administration and teaching, so we could really use somebody right now." So throughout last summer, my wife went through what she had to do to get a couple certifications back up to date. So she's working there now, and like I said, my daughter's attending school there. So I laugh. They call me the redneck, but my wife's the one that goes to school with my daughter every day, not me. So
So you actually had to have a degree to be a pastor?
yes. It's not really required that you have a degree, at least not in the Nazarene Church, but you have to have you have to go through at least a course of study so that you kind of are able to teach. And it's almost like, say, like the first year and a half of college, gets you through some liberal arts stuff, teaches you the politics of the church and some business administration stuff, and the basics on speech and how to prepare a sermon, that kind of thing. But I actually have a degree in biblical studies. And
the ministry people, whether you're a reverend, pastor, priest, or whatever, you're almost like a social worker too, because you have to listen to the bad times that some of your folks are going through.
Yeah, I spend an awful lot of time in counseling. We get calls from people that don't even go to church dealing with children's issues or drug rehab problems or just, parent-child issues, whatever. So yeah, I spent an awful lot of my time dealing with those kind of issues. So yeah, having a counseling background, I took quite a few counseling classes. If I would ever slow down a little, I'd like to get my master's in counseling.
Would you?
Yeah, would be. That's been on my to-do list for about the last 3 years. So.
Yeah. Well, you'll get there.
That's right.
That's
right. We got time.
Is there going to be an official name for the church out in Pierpont?
I'll tell you right now, we're calling it Cowboy Church at Rustler Ranch.
Cowboy Church at Rustler Ranch. I know if somebody will ask me that question, I want to make sure I got the right answer.
Yeah. Like I said, and if they've got any questions, they can give us a call at the church.
What time are you starting next?
We're starting at 7 o'clock in the evening.
Anybody can go.
Anybody can go. Like I said, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. That's what most people we've talked to. So it's going to be more. It's like that's going to be a more relaxed atmosphere, and that's what we're aiming for.
Sure.
A little more fun. We've had T-shirts made up with the logo for the church and everything on it, the Cowboy Church, and.
Did you really?
We did. We're going to be. We already had. They had an open house a couple of weeks ago out at Rustler Ranch for their new arena and for showing off the abilities of the autistic riders. So we were throwing T-shirts up into the stands.
Did you say that, Les? It's an indoor arena?
It is. It's an indoor arena. If I'm not mistaken, it's like 140 by 60. I mean, it's a huge facility. And it's one of the new style buildings that it's all steel framed, but it's got the, I call it a tarp, but it's the material stretched over the top that's real tight. I was worried about acoustics, but the sound in there is great. It reflects back off of the material real well.
How long has it been there?
The building itself, the arena's been there since right at the end of May.
This year?
Of this year. They hired a company to come in. They already had a traditional indoor arena, but it was getting too small for what they were doing. And so as they built this one, it's big enough. We got some guys interested. It's big enough, actually, they can do official bull riding in it.
No kidding.
If they want to. It's a big facility. And we've got some bleacher seating. I'm encouraging people to bring their lawn chairs along, so they have a place to sit, or they can sit on bales of hay or whatever we find.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's just going to be a little more laid back. I think it's going to be relaxed. I think a lot of younger people would like it because it's not. It's going to have a structure, but it's not going to be as structured and as formal as a regular church.
Right.
And I think people keep asking me, well, what exactly is it going to be like? I said, we'll have to figure that out as we go because we're going to base it on our crowd as they come in and their interest. And of course, we're going to start to get them involved. If I've got a guy out there that can play guitar or drums or does poetry or whatever, we're going to involve them in that sort of thing, and let them become a part. We want them to own it.
And like you say, you're gonna feature some skits involving the horses and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I can't see where that would miss. I think that people would enjoy that.
Yeah, and I was out the one day getting some stuff set up for the services and just things we're looking ahead to, and the cattle got out. And so we were out rounding up cattle that day, and the owner of the ranch laughed. He said, "This could be a church activity instead of having a fellowship out of church. We'll just let all the cows out, and we'll go out and catch them and bring them back into the barn.
Give you something to do."
Yeah, something to do. We'll keep you busy if nothing else.
Hey, I wanted to ask you before I let you go,
Sure.
the Bill Glass event that you had last year.
Mm-hmm.
How'd that go over?
It went very well. Bill Glass is an incredible guy. He's nearly 80. He had gone through some colon cancer and some other stuff.
Really?
But he still gets out to at least probably 50, 60 prison events himself per year. Still manages the whole thing, gets all these people out. We probably had, I don't know, came through the picnic and the whole deal that day because it was kind of broken into 2 or 3 different events. I'd say there was a couple hundred people passed through.
Is that right?
Yeah, we had a great
you.
showing. Yeah, and then just after that, the prison ministry came to Conneaut. They come about every 3 years. They try to get into the prison here in Conneaut.
Okay.
And they were looking for hotels, and everything was booked up because it was D-Day weekend and some other stuff going on. So we housed a bunch of them at the church. They came out, slept there at the church, and we fed them and did all that stuff. And then they went in and did the prison ministry and went back home. Yeah, we had quite a time with all those guys. So it was a neat event.
I had something I wanted to run past you. I don't know whether you were familiar with this gentleman. Jerry Garcia?
Oh, yes. Jerry's been to our church several times.
He is in need of prayer.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I know he's got cancer, I heard.
Yeah, he is. He was recently died. They got this from Connie Smith.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know Connie.
Jerry was recently diagnosed with cancer of the mouth, and he had the same type of cancer about 7 years ago, and has been cancer-free for 4 years. Right. But certainly he is in your prayers. And I thought that he even performed at your church.
He did. Matter of fact, he's scheduled to be back in early September. I think it is late August, early September. He's supposed to be at our church.
And she said that he is going to keep as many concert dates as he can. So
right.
hopefully he'll be able to come in and do that. But if you would like to send a card, here is his address: Jerry Garcia, 3688 Treat Highway, Adrian, Michigan, 49221. And the reason I bring this up now is because I knew Toddy, that you knew him and had dealt with him before.
Yeah,
nice guy.
Oh, wonderful guy. He has several handicapped children that they've adopted.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
takes care of
I
them,
think
so.
he even maybe you lost one.
I know one of them was real sick.
Yeah.
He did. They lost a little one.
Yeah, the little one. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's a wonderful guy, good entertainer. He was an English teacher.
Was he really?
Yeah, and then ended up going into music ministry.
Never knew that. I never knew that. Well, listen, I want to wish you well.
Thank you.
What I'm going to do when we go to a break here, I'm going to set you up with Bob Lebzold, or maybe you could do a little video out there, show the people what this is all about, show the arena, and he does a good job. He does a nice interview and stuff.
Like I said, it's a great facility out there. Even if you just want to come out and check it out, or like I said, if they have autistic children or just kids that even want riding lessons.
Is it in a country setting?
It is.
Obviously.
Oh yeah, it's matter of fact, there's 850 acres there on Rustler Ranch.
Whoa!
It's a huge place. Phil Dietrich, a lot of people know Phil. He's the owner, and like I said, he's goes to our church, and he said, if we're going to build this new building, I want it to be used as much as we can. Rustler Ranch itself is a 501c3. They, like I said, all that they do in the past, they used to take in troubled teenagers a lot and had house parents and tried to get those kids straightened out. And over the last couple of years, they've been shifting more toward working with the handicapped kids and their situations, and they're doing a great job. They've got a trained therapist that is there working with the kids, and then they train all their staff to work with the children. It's a great facility, even just to come out and see it. It's worth seeing what they do out there. Yeah.
Interesting. We'll run it on this show too.
That'd be great.
So, and we'll have Andy make a download this for another showing, probably first of next week.
That'd be great.
We'll be reminded about next Thursday night.
Yeah. So Thursday night, if they've got any questions, you can call 224-1415. That's the Kellogg'sville Nazarene number, and if we're not right there, leave us a message, and someone else will get back to you and answer any questions we can.
And the services start at
7 o'clock. 7 o'clock Thursday night. And we figure it's the night before July 3rd. Or July 4th. Yeah, it's the night before July 3rd. There you go. There's intelligence for you. Before July 4th, so people are going to be off. It'll be a long weekend. We laughed and said, they could bring their city relatives out to Country Church if they wanted to and have a good time.
There you go. Good luck to you, Les.
Thanks so much, Pat. Appreciate
right,
your time.